Hello everyone, Arthur Klaus here, and today guys I'm going to review an Hero Factory 2011 set, and it's not going to be a hero, but this time it's going to be a villain set. So today I'm gonna review Nitroblast, so one of the four villains released in this first wave. So here's the box, of course, the traditional villains box. So of course, in the front side of the box, you will have the Lego Hero Factory logo, the Hero Core logo up there. Of course, all the dark metal parts all over the place, really, with some really sharp edges and stuff like that. Of course, in most of the which takes most of the place on the front picture is Nitroblast himself, as you can see. Of course, in the background, it's full of explosions, fire, and stuff like that, with a really an industrial feeling. Of course, you got also his name right here, Nitroblast, and the edge recognition, stuff like that. So that's all for the front box. Really a nice background, as you can see. And I think that Nitroblast really covers most of the picture, in fact. So you can't really see the background, but the two together really look cool. Then you got the top part, which features a 1:1 scale picture of the Nitroblast's head. The other sides are not really interesting, and the other really interesting part is the back of the box, which features a little battle scene between Breeze and Nitroblast, as you can see, and of course behind them full of explosions, Tanker Station 22, I guess it's named like that, and stuff like that. So very nice. Once again, the Hero Core logo, and of course how to fire the Zamor, Tornax launcher, stuff like that. So nothing really new since I would say 2006 for the Zamor and 2009 for the Tornax launcher. So that said, the box is once again pretty nice, with really some well chosen colors. And well, let's move on to the instruction booklet, which features the same pictures on the front and also the same picture of the fight scene, of the battle scene, when you open the instruction booklet. Also notice that this time it doesn't show you the name of the set, but just the set numbers. In fact, the same goes for the back of the box. If you remember well, in 2010 there were some little logos and also some stats points under the villains. This time none of this appears. So let's move on once again to the instruction booklet. So of course you will have the instructions. I guess it's like in 20 or well, it's in 16 steps, of course, not counting all the sub-steps of this set. Then you got the parts list, the website ad page, as you can see, and that's all. The win page also. That said, let's move on to the set right now. So first, well, in his frame mode with just the limbs part. So yes, so of course it's the usual 2011 frames. It's going to use the same type of limbs part. So first we're gonna have a wide, as you can see, a wide body frame. This means we're gonna use this two. We're gonna also use two more ball joints right there. It's the difference between the tall and wide frame is just there's two ball joints if they are present, if they are on the parts or not. And then you got all the limbs part, and you got like 8 of them, 8 really different modes of parts. So, well, let's see. First, you got this part, you can see, with one pinholes. With one pinhole, you can see, and one ball joint. Here you got the same part, but with 2 pinholes, of course, a little taller. Then you got this part with no pinholes at all, but still with one ball joint, as you can see. Then let's move on to the other arms with 2 new parts without any ball joints. So this part is different from this one. Also notice that this is the only gray part in the only gray limb part in all Hero Factory 2011 sets. So it's quite rare, well, at least in the first wave. Also notice this part, which is different because unless most of the parts which use a connector and a ball joint at the end, this part just use 2 connectors and a ball joint in the middle, so it can be quite useful for bionicle mockers, I think, to link the two type of connections together. Then let's finish with this part, as you can see, which is just 1 connector and 1 ball joint directly molded together. Well, we also know this part because it also appears here, and then you got 2 other new type of mods. This one, really the tallest type of mods, which use in fact, as you can see, this type of ball joint, this means it's not free, can just turn on one way, and then you got this part with one free ball joint at the end. So this means there's two parts, even if they are the same height, well, the same size, they are different in terms of mold because of the ball joint at the end. So this means we got like 8 different types of limbs mold parts, and of course which come in red, light gray, and black, which is quite useful. You can also notice then the connectors, of course, which are new, a new mold, a little bulkier than the previous ones. Also you got the end, which is a new mold, of course, released in 2011, because this time it features 4 fingers instead of just 3, like with the Glatorians set. Also notice little holes between the thumbs and the rest of the fingers, the 2 axle holes, and finally the feet, which are not new because it's just some Inika feet, but it's a recolor because it's the first time they appeared in normal red, so matte red, and not dark red, unlike for example Toa Jailer or Toa Jailer Maui. Well, his Inika and Maui forms got the same type of feet but in dark red, so this is really the first time we saw these colors for these parts. That said, let's move on to the construction itself. So, excuse me, I'm going to take that because of course it's a lot of asymmetrical parts, so I do not want to make any mistake. So first, of course, we're going to use this the armor parts also released in 2011. So this means we're going to have these 2 points of connection right there and one connector here, which of course will be linked directly to this ball joints right there I've shown you earlier. So first we got this part. I'm going to link this little spiky parts, which were released first in, like, I guess 2010 or 9. I guess it's 10. So going to link this part like that. Then going to link that in the front. The same part with the same spiky parts will go on this side. Then on the other part, on the other leg, we're going to use this part, which I guess well, no, it's exactly the same type of armor mod, but the only difference is, of course, that this time we're going to link what we call the villain core, because it has the same use as an hero core in terms of design, but of course not in the storyline. So with 2 points of connection on the back, and it looks like that. Not the most beautifully part ever made by Lego, but still. And we're going to link that in this way, and then of course the printed part, because you may remember that heroes got some unique printed parts, while the same goes to the villains, except this time it's just the logo and the background of the parts which change, and they are not their name written on it. Also you can notice that this time it comes in black and not in dark metal, like the other armor parts I've linked since then. Now I'm going to link the right arm. Well, I'm going to link the armor part of the right arm. So first we got, well, this armor part. I guess it's once again the same. Yes, in fact it's every time the same mold for this part, and I'm going to link the new type of flames on the 2 points of connection. Of course, as you can see, it features orange and red fade, and it's really a little blocky. It will be linked on this side. And then I'm going to link another type of armor, you can see, because this time it's a little smaller than the previous ones, and also link this type of, not really a clothes, but this type of part which comes in every villain's set, if I'm correct, and which come with 1 axle and 2 points of connection. So this means you can still use that for your bionicle mock without any problems. And it will be linked on the side this time, if I do things in a correct way. Yes, it's alright. That said, I'm going to link now the parts up there. So first I'm going to link this part, which as you can see use once again a red villain core plus an body an hero body armor, as you can see. So really a big one, but of course it works the same, 1 ball joint, 2 points of connection, as you can see here, of course. And well, it will be linked here. Then I'm going to link this part, which is once again a mod which appears in every villain set, and which is pretty detailed. It has 4 points of connection, 1 ball joint, 1 connector on the back, and really full of little details, really a mechanical feeling, really nice. So I guess it's linked like that, yes. It will be linked on this ball joint, then at the end I'm going to link this little flame part. And well, I'm nearly done, so I'm going then to link the body armor part, which as you can see the same part. Well, it's actually the same thing except we got different colors. So here it was dark metal and red, here it's black and dark metal. So it's going to be linked like that. And now I'm going to link first, well, the Tornax launcher, which nothing really new, it's some dark metal color. So I think it already appeared in 2010. Then the little Zamor, which is a new type of fade, as you can see, some orange and white fade, marbled style, going to be linked like that. And finally, one of the most important aspects of Nitroblast is what is in his back, and what is in his back is this part, which you can see, it's melt down part we colored in transparent, which is pretty cool, with some spikes. Also notice the little techniques parts used right there to link all the parts together, and also the little hose pipe which come in red. This is maybe not the first time we see this part in red, but not in a Bionicle set, I think. Maybe it appeared first in 2007 playsets. I'm not really sure. So yes, by the way, it will be linked like that. Oh, I think, excuse me, just let me see something. No, okay, I'm supposed to, oh, excuse me guys, I have, it works like that. And finally, of course, the head. So the head, which is once again, well, not really a new mod, because as you may know, there is 4 villains, so this means 4 heads, but just 2 mods in fact, because on each mod you got 2 heads. So here you got the Jetbug's head, and here you got the Nitroblast head, so that's the one which interests us today. Of course, notice the axle, which is directly molded in there, and also notice this Baroque eye, which comes in a new light green, trans light green color, which is pretty nice. It will be linked, of course, in there, and I'm going to link the head in the connector, and Nitroblast is finished finally. So excuse me if it took some time. Now I'm going to, of course, do a little turnaround of this set and show you how the articulations works, and finally give my opinion on every aspect of this set. Well, in my opinion, I will of course try to stay as objective as I can. And well, I think that's all for the turnaround. So now for the articulation, so it's really simple in fact, because you just have to know that the right side is good and the left side is not really that good in terms of articulations. So first, the legs. Well, first, the right leg, so of course, no problem on this point once again. Well, you know that by now, I think. Then on the knee section, it can turn all the way up, so no problem at all. And then the foot might block on this armor part. But apart from that, it's mostly perfect. Then you got this left leg, excuse me. So once again, it works pretty perfect in the pelvis section, so no problem here. And then you try to turn this, and it blocks at 90 degrees, because of course all the armor is put on the leg, so this means it will block at 90 degrees directly. And then this fit, well, it blocks also on, it also blocks, excuse me, on the 2 spike right there, so you can prevent this from by moving, in fact, the foot on this side. But it blocks a little, kind of like the villain core, by the way, so no big problem. But the main issue, I think, is the 90 degrees part here, which is different from the articulations there. But well, I guess it was mostly for to make a different type of design on the 2 legs, give it an asymmetrical aspect. So that's all for the legs. Now for the arms, once again, on the shoulder section there is no problems, and on the elbow sections it blocks at 90 degrees, as you can see, a little more, but really a little more, not really that much. Excuse me. And then you got the hand, which has no problem to move, even with this part right there, which looks pretty nice, by the way. And then you got the left arm, and it's quite like drill dozer. This means this time LEGO decided to use a third arm to, I don't know, maybe for design elements, or just to make the arm bulkier. And well, the only problem is that it's really hard to understand how it works because, well, let's see. You got the normal arm, which got like 1, 2, 3 points of articulation, no problems. Then we got the second arm, which got 1, 2, 3, and 4 points of articulation because of course the two are linked in this way. So, well, it's just hard to explain, but that's the way. You can try to make stuff like, for example, I can bend the arms at like 90 degrees, as you can see, it works. I can also try to move the arms on the side, but in fact, I mean, you can turn the arm. It's not like a work that you can't move or anything like that. No, you can turn the arm, as you can see here also on the free ball joint. You can turn this part all the way in every way you want. Excuse me, well, you can move that all the way you want. But in fact, the only problem is how to understand how these articulations works together, because sometimes it will block way easily and gets on your nerves because, well, you can do pause, but it's just hard to understand and it's no fun for me. One of the most important aspects of action figures is first to be well articulated and second to be well, simple to move. In fact, I mean, I want something to be well articulated, but I also want this stuff to be simple to move, and that's not the case with this arm, with this, in fact, two arms linked together, because it's just hard to understand, it's really annoying to move, and at the end, it's not fun to play with this arm, even if it can move, like that, for example, at 80 degrees, which is pretty nice, but it's just hard to understand, and only a bad point in my opinion. So, by the way, let's move on for the head, which unlike the other villains, just got 1 point of rotation, this one ball joint, 1 connectors, no more, no less, and while it works just fine, you can move this up, of course you will see all the inside of the head, but at least it works. You can make it look a little done, and also on the sides. And that's all. So I'm going to do a little pause of this set, and finally I will be done with this review. So first, the color scheme of Nitroblast, well, it's mostly matte wet on red and dark metal. Of course, it will also feature some orange color, black, and stuff like that, plus this horrendous light gray part which comes from nowhere and have no wall whatsoever. So I don't really know the purpose here, because I can understand when they choose to put axles in reds and this part in blue. I mean, for little kids, of course, it's useful to know the different type of parts, but seriously, for this part, I mean, I don't have any, yeah, there is no excuse, at least for me. Maybe if some designers of Legos come here and tell me why you choose to put this type of part, well, it would be nice, but for now, I just don't understand. Yes, for now, not for now. So that said, the color scheme is mostly dark metal and well, and of course it's just mixed well perfectly together. You got some strange orange parts, all the orange spikes really looks good, and well, in terms of color scheme, it's really nice. I mean, it's not that complicated, it's not that original, but at least it works just fine. Then you got the construction, maybe the part section first. So yes, of course we'll have tons of we'll have many armored parts in dark metal, some lens parts in red, which can be pretty useful, and other, of course, specific villains parts, like the flames, like these spikes, like this part right here, plus interesting recolors, like the heads, and also some odd recolors, like the two, like the Inika feet, which comes in normal red this time, and also this meltdown part plus the weather pipe. So seriously, in terms of part selection, it's really good. So I have no big problem with that. It's all good and really nice. Then also you can notice all the different type of flames parts which are put in this set. There was like 8 different type of flames, and it really works just fine. It's really nice. Then you got the construction. Well, it's not maybe not as original as the other villains, because it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's got 2 legs, of course. Well, the only interesting part can be maybe how to link this part on the back and the second arm, which helps to bulky to make stronger this the left arm. But apart from that, it's not it's pretty normal in terms of Hero Factory 2011 constructions. There was nothing really interesting. Of course, for those who have never built a 2011 Hero Factory sets before, it will be interesting to understand how it works. But for those who have already built this type of set, they will not be surprised. And of course, other parts also works just fine. There is no parts falling off or anything like that. Then you got some articulation, and like I said, the right part is quite okay, even if it blocks at 30 degrees on the arms. And well, the left part is worse because of the second arm, which is this doesn't mean you can't turn the part. It just means that it's harder to make this works and to understand how it works. And if it looks simple, it's just annoying to make this to move the arm. So I think it's decent. It could be better, but because of some design elements like the third arm and all the armors is put right here, the parts block at 30 degrees and sometimes just blocks, and yes, it can be annoying. So it's in terms of articulation is okay. And finally, in terms of design, well, this model I think is maybe the most generic model, the most generic villain model of all the 4 released. Well, if I do not count Firelord, it's even the most generic one, because I mean it's got 2 legs, 2 arms. In fact, the only part which is really unique to this set is this part of the back, because I mean Jetbug is really a thin, tall model with some jetpacks. Drill Dozer is a tall, bulky one with really this drill and stuff like that. So these 2 models are really specific, and this one I guess is a little bit more generic, but that doesn't mean it's worse. In fact, because for me it's one of my favorite models. Why? Well, because first you can move it pretty easily. First is, I mean, even if it's not that original, at least it's thin. You can really imagine this model to move pretty easily, unlike Drill Dozer, which is really bulky. And well, you can really do some, I mean, some nice pose because also of the head, which is really, as you can see, it really goes in the front like that, so you really have a nice curves. Plus also all the shape reminders which come with all the spikes. I mean, there is spikes on the feet, there is spikes here, there, all over the model, which so it works just fine, kind of like Jetbug. You also got 2 flames right there, the 2 villain, well, the 3 Iron cores, in fact, 1 here, and there. So in fact, in terms of design, even if it looks pretty generic, it's really well made, because you can really imagine this model to jump on his enemies or to attack them in without any problems and stuff like that. Plus also the little parts on the arms, which kind of remind you of the Drill Dozer's left arm, but this time, Nitroblast also got the hand. So overall, even if it looks pretty generic, for me it's one of the best models because it works just fine in terms of design, in terms of shape, in terms of parts used, in terms of colors used with the red and dark metal, in terms of, in fact, it has some problems like the articulations, which sometimes are annoying to move, but apart from that sort of problems and the third arm and stuff like that, for me it's really one good villain set. So I can really recommend you this model because for me that's one of the best, and in an objective way I still think it can, even if it's pretty generic, at least it works just fine for me in terms of designs, of parts used and stuff like that. So that said, hope you enjoyed this review. Of course, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to ask them in my comment section of this video. And that said, hope you enjoy, and well, see you later for another Hero Factory 2011 video reviews. So that said, bye bye.